I think that for the 5G development, that there's no much difference. It's very unexpected. It's for example, that because the 5G still is a very complicated networking. So networking infrastructure itself it's an issues. There's still a lot of discussion, debate for how to deploy the best scenario and for the networking. And also that once we deploy the 5G networks, how we could have the profitable business models, no matter for operator side or even for the private sectors. So I think that that's pretty much it's the issues for every countries. And on the other hand, because 5G is complicated, that you can see that how big the investment is. That so just in the frequency license, it's kind of the huge money battles in Taiwan's early 2020s. It's so I think that investment itself will be an issue. It's not just the equipment investment, but also the application size, management, core management size is quite a lot. On the other hand, that the product itself, because the 5G high frequencies devices need a lot of power. So I think power issue will become a future problems for every countries. So I think that, but I would like to specifically put one issues on the table is that I think that 5G, the good thing is that the 5G will bring up a lot of the new applications. But for talking about the new application, it's new stuff. Sometimes we need a regulation size to be changed, especially from the government side. So when we try to deploy the 5G smart pole, we need to discuss with the city governments. We sometimes even need to talk about the government side to understand what's the regulation, friendship regulation will be in the future. So I think that's also the one issue. Once we pretty much set up the network, we pretty much move on the operations, then we might need to touch this point and need a government side to help on. So that's my comments. Thank you.
I think that's not where the money is for the operators. I think the operator is looking for the use cases in the business side. So for example, as I mentioned, in the manufacturing facilities where they want to employ this massive connectivity capability of 5G, in the manufacturing industry together with IoT devices. So it's a matter of time and how they can convince that this will make the business sense for the manufacturers.
I think the challenge is always twofold. I think as I aware that I think the public sectors in Malaysia, the government in Malaysia are quite encouraging to launch all these projects. But then again, I think always the major hurdle falls back into two. I think is in terms of regionally, I think it's the financial side. How do we arrange because it will involve a regional. Yeah, as the other panelists always said that the investment is huge and it takes a long time to recover, right? So how do we have enough guarantee and also financial arrangement? ODA, the banking side from each side, I think is needed to encourage this kind of cooperation. Not only VC, I think the only one that are doing very well in terms of startup scene is the VC. So the VC doesn't really care, and they were very daring. But then when we talk about 5G and rollout and stuff like that, of course the cost is much more higher than the VC. So if the VC can do it, can we start to build this kind of understanding partnership in terms of the regional funding cooperation, I think it will be helpful as well. Because I think, you like it or not, Google, Amazon, and the rest, they have this brand. So, I don't think they would bring their own money in as well. But then they were easy to secure finance because of the branding power, right? So, but then for the Malaysian, for the Taiwanese, or companies from Southeast Asia, we don't have that branding. So how do we build on that one? We need. I think that there's extra effort to have a regional financial cooperation. I think the other major issue would be talent. As we are lacking of, every businesses and factory also all are talking about IR 4.0 stuff like that. I think the major issue is the one is the lack of understanding overall strategy. How far should I do it? How much investment ROI and stuff like that? What it look like end result. So every industry need this peer example. So if the factories in Taiwan or certain industry in Taiwan already done that, you can show it to the bosses, right? So I think the bosses need to understand the overall the big strategy, so settle that. Secondly is the talent. How do we build more human talents, right? If the management is agree on that, but then who is going to run it continuously for the next 10 years, 15 years, right? So I think we need to expand our cooperation in terms of human talents. How do we train more people in AI and on specific vertical, manufacturing, transport, agrotech? So there are all differences, right? So how do we expand that cooperation? So I think I will urge our Taiwan counterparts to think about, because I know that you have a very strong base in terms of human talents training, your AI school and stuff like that. How do we expand in terms of Selangor? We want to work with you to, to establish AI schools and, lots more, even IR 4.0 kind of talents. How do we build all this with local, with example of industry in Taiwan who has done that before, so that we know the final product and we have the talents. So I think if we can work on these two as well, I know of course the financial is a huge challenge as well, but it might take some time. But then I think we are still talking of the inflection point of 5G haven't come yet. It's like my experience that we talked about it for 5 years ago. Then the e-commerce only came. Okay. So inflection point will take some time. So now it's time for us is actually to build more human talents, AI, the automation expert, kind of it. In fact, in Malaysia, some of the major corporation has bring in like the Accolade 42 in France. We have now 42 KL, which is providing free coding, a master level free coding tuition to the public as well. So I think we need more. So if we can work together on AI, on IR 4.0 expert, on more, no only coding now, we need to go into the vertical of industry expert. I think that will help us, much more helpful in terms of the rolling out, the inflection point of the, 5G, because I think it will still take, at least 3 years to come. So before that, I think human talents is one of the things that we can work closely to, so that we will be able to produce enough talents, for the next few years.